Welcome to the PortlyAI Human Capital Squad Talk, where we engage in conversation about the changing business landscape and how human capital and other C-suite leaders are approaching this. I'm Susan Gans and I'm your host. I am the Human Capital Squad leader for PortlyAI, as well as a business strategist with Gans Strategic Solutions. Today, I'm delighted to introduce you to Dr. Jairo Borja, DBA. He is a two-time Amazon best-selling author, capital connector, and founder of the Elevation Capital Raising Program, where he helps founders, investors, and entrepreneurs raise capital through strategic networking and relationship-driven growth. He is also involved in over 500 real estate units across Hickory, Southern Pines, Cincinnati, and Lake Charles, while also serving as Vice President of Corporate and Entrepreneurial Programs at the statewide Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of New Jersey. Welcome to the Squad Talk.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I'm excited for the conversation.
Fantastic. Well, let's get started. So, what are you doing, Iro, as a leader in the driver's seat to facilitate change and transformation, both from your personal and your professional perspectives?
Yes, professionally, I'm on, I just got off a few boards and I'm, hoping to get into some new boards, but for now, looking to, help out the community where I can. Someone came to me saying, hey, do you know someone who could help out, donate food for an event? So helping there. So personally, just trying to serve the community, kind of servant leadership approach when it comes to leadership. Professionally, what I'm looking to do is continuing to help the community at large, whether it's on the real estate side or tech side, or when it comes to one having the access to capital to grow and scale your business, right? Whether it's making sure you're bankable, ensuring that you have the resources you need in order to grow and scale, and or maybe there's a situation where you're looking to raise, or you may need to learn to raise. So just trying to help out the community where I can, and that's why I started the Elevation program last year to help those individuals that want to grow and scale, whether it's in multifamily or whether it's in hospitality, or even when it's if you're looking for access to capital, if you need a bridge loan of some kind, like I have access to business brokers who have access to billions. So it's all about, again, understanding your I avatar, understanding your goals, and then based off those goals, where can you pivot? So that's what I'm looking to do professionally, and or that's what I'm doing personally and professionally.
Got it. So, a follow-up question there really about how then do you navigate and guide peers and folks you work with through change? Because these are times that are evolving. We haven't been in this age of AI before, right? So, what are you doing to prepare yourself as well as the people you collaborate with and work with?
Yeah, with myself, I just took a recent certification in AI, and I actually joined. Shout out to Richard Wilson and Family Office Club, which is an organization to network and also grow and scale yourself. I recently, last week, they had an AI workshop in New York City, so I was able to learn all day about Claude and all these other softwares and how you could use it for due diligence, how you could use it for raising, right? So I was able to organize myself there. So now what I'm doing with my community is I started a school community recently. And thanks to that community, I'm always providing resources for my people. I also have like exclusive webinars or seminars, or I have a virtual summit coming up. And so the purpose of that summit is to have different folks, and you've been to a piece of one, and being able to understand different perspectives when it comes to raising money or accessing money. So I think as as we continue to do that, even in the program itself, like so one of the weeks has to do with like your pitch deck. So what I'm looking to implement even in my program is I was given a couple of softwares, right? Or even use Claude or even ChatGPT for that matter to kind of use to evaluate your pitch decks, right? Because everyone thinks that because it's ready to rock on Canva or right, that it's ready to go, right? But the truth of the matter is there's a format that has to be followed and there's, certain things that have to be in place before even being considered for for capital. So just implementing little things like that and being able to adapt to AI more because if not, as you know, it's changing every day, and if you don't adapt, you'll be left behind. So that's little things like that. That's what I'm doing now.
And so, how do you inspire people to adapt? Is people are on a different place in their journey often when it comes to new things and embracing change. So I'm curious how you deal with people who are on this change spectrum who may or may not be ready to adapt.
Yeah, like I just try to meet everyone where I can. I have a podcast as well, Dr. Bisha. More than happy to plug. More than happy to listen to a lot of my guests. I interview a lot of folks that are in the real estate and or entrepreneurship space. Look, and the purpose of that show originally started during COVID was to inspire others to kind of do the same. And it went from Hispanic to minority. It got too general, and then I brought it back down and it's mostly in the world of capital raising, capital sourcing space. So that's what I do. And now I interview folks kind of like yourself to help aspire or inspire others to kind of do the same. So those are little things like that. I try to be consistent on social media. I also like to provide value on social media. I don't just ask for a sale of some kind. I'm always looking to provide value. I think 80 or even 90% of my content on social media it has to do with hey best practices for this or tips for that or tips for this right or I rarely do I say hey buy this or do this right so that's why I think I continue to inspire others to do the same just adding value to my community.
It sounds like the way that you support people in their journey is by sharing knowledge and
Yeah.
adding value in that way.
Yes.
So as we're moving into more of this what I call project-based economy where people are in a more fluid fashion coming together to work on a project as well as a workforce that's more focused on skills than just role or title. What does this mean for you as a leader and what you're doing with the Elevation Network, for example?
Yeah, what it means to me is one of the underutilized skills, whether it's in nonprofit, whether it's in the tech space, whether it's in the real estate space, one of the underutilized skills is capital raising, right? So maybe some folks have had some exposure, including me, when it comes to the world of nonprofit, but I've been fortunate where I have a couple of great mentors when it comes to teaching me how to raise capital for real estate. But truth be told, there's a whole skill and approach to it, which the way I teach it, any asset class, it works for kind of any asset class, right? So as an example, the first step is identifying your vision and mission, right? It starts internally, right? It starts because if you don't believe it, you're not gonna convince others to cut you a check, right? So you have to. It starts with you, right? So you have to believe it to achieve it, right? Similar to Michael Strahan spoke about that. If you're a Giants fan, prior to winning Super Bowl 42, right? But once you understand that, then it becomes a lot easier, right? Then the next step is understanding who your ideal investor is, right? Just because, all right, you have this great, I don't know, pre-seed or seed or what a product or service, right? Where are they going to come from, right? So basically creating your avatar. Then once you understand your avatar, where do they hang out? What organizations are they a part of? What conferences do they attend? And then it's attending those conferences. And then once you're at those events, then setting up those on ones, right? And then after that, it comes down to your pitch deck or one pager, right? Then after that, it comes to meeting them basically as you're connected with them, understanding their risk tolerance and understanding their investment goals. I'll give you an example. Susan, let's say we're having this conversation. Let's say it's, role play real quick. Just if we're having, I am raising money for a deal. Let's say in real estate, right? Now we do syndication, so understanding syndication is a little bit different than, lending it for a pre-foreclosure or lending it for a short-term rental. Under Because real estate syndication, it's a 5-year deal, right? So, you know, you're almost, setting it and forgetting it, not forgetting it necessarily, but it's a 5-year hold, right? While the rents are stabilized, while the complex stabilizes, while the property appreciates in value, then at that point you'll get a percentage of your principal, or most of it for the most part, depending on how it's structured. By the end of year 2 or year 3, you'll get your distribution, and on the sale, you'll 2x your money. So your money is basically tied for 5 years. That's not for everyone. That's not for everyone. I mean, some folks, they could tie it for 12 months or 6 months. So it's about understanding the risk tolerance and understanding, if someone could tie their money, for 6 months versus 5, 6 years, right? So I think once you understand that, everything kind of else falls in place. So hopefully that answers you. That's basically what I'm looking to do, and helping people, guide them through that process, right? Now it's easier said than done. Some are more introverted versus extroverted, or some are good rated events versus webinars. But again, the process that I teach could kind of work for either an introvert or an extrovert.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, as we move into a more dynamic kind of economy, it goes back to some fundamentals about understanding uh, what the vision, mission, values are for yourself and the company you are a part of. And number two is really understanding the business, you know, no matter what kind of function you're going to perform. And especially these days, people wear multiple hats, in particularly smaller companies, but also now larger companies, people are wearing multiple hats as well. And I think your points are well taken about understanding risk as well. So it's really putting on one's business hat once one understands fully what was that mission, vision, values personally, does it align with the company, and then how you're going to add value to it, whether it's your own company or somebody else's company that you're working for.
Thank you for that. Absolutely. And the reason why I said that in the beginning is, like, not every conversation is going to go well, right? So, you're going to get couple of rejections and before you get a yes, right? So that's why if you keep your eye on the prize, for me, it's my daughters, right? Wife and kids, right? That's my motivation, right? Well, better life for them, better life than what we had growing up, right? So if you keep that in mind, it'll keep you motivated to keep going and going and going. For others, they have a bad conversation, they fold, and and it's a wrap, right? So you just got to continue to focus, and that's why I said that from the beginning. Understanding your vision, mission, and your why. Once you understand your why, then you'll be motivated to go through a wall, regardless of whether you get rejected or not. 9 times, at 10th time, someone will say yes.
Yes, rejection is a part of life,
Yeah,
although it it's never fun, but it
never
does
fun.
get easier over time,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So that brings me to my next question, which is about, what lessons have you learned as you've gone through your own journey of morphing and changing over time? What guidance would you give our audience?
Yeah, one of the things that I learned over time is exactly that, like understanding your why, right? That's the first piece. Once you understand your why, everything kind of falls in place. The second piece, I talk about it in my second book, Cheap Plug Deal Maker, how to easily raise unlimited capital for your deals. I speak about the importance of ha- surrounding yourself with the right team, and also working with the right business partners, right? Because I it's not a secret. I talk about how we came up short in my one of our first deals in Florida, right? And so in Madeira Beach in Florida, right? So the lessons learned there is basically ensuring that you surround yourself with the right team. Whether it's the broker, whether it's the attorney, whether it's even business partners for that matter, right? So they're, you know, so it's important to kind of surround yourself with the right team when it comes to that. So I'll give you so quick crash, like 2 minute version of what happened. So I was a, we came up short because the my partner at the time was supposed to bring the money to the table, did not, wound up rerouting that money into something else. So we could not close. The owner gave me an opportunity to still salvage a deal. I wound up walking away anyway, so I wound up losing a lot of my EMD, or earnest money deposit, which is a percentage that you put down prior to purchasing the property during the due diligence period, blah blah blah, blah, et cetera. Right. So one of the lessons learned there is, just making sure that whoever you work with, you really have to vet them and really screen them, right? And then once you screen them, once you vet them, then only at that point that that you can move forward and define the roles clearly as far as who's doing what. And then if you do that, I think you'll hopefully won't be in a situation kind of what happened to me. So what happened was I learned from that, and then thanks to that, I was able to pivot from just that into now doing even bigger deals. I almost doubled down, and then now I do deals with my mentor Mike Healy. Shout out to him if he's listening. And he has over 15, almost 2,000 apartments and over 4 hotels. And he's been in the game almost 25 plus years, right? So yeah, so I learned that lesson, and then and basically was able to double down and do stuff with Mike directly. So my lesson to everyone here is, just because one door closes doesn't mean it's completely closed. It's just another one will open. So that's my lessons for everybody.
So I love what you say about understanding your why and to truly do a deep dive into the types of people that you want to work with. And when you identify those folks, to really um, screen them against, your values and what's important, what they bring to the table, what you bring to the table. Is it going to be a fit? And then, you didn't fold when that deal didn't,
Yeah,
right? You
no,
could have said, you know what, mm,
not for me.
maybe maybe I won't do this. And instead, you sought out uh, somebody who was a fit, somebody who had a proven track record and where you had a relationship with. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Um, so switching it up a bit, I would love to hear from you. It's my favorite question. What's something unexpected in your background that we might be surprised to learn that's really informed your journey and approach to change management and to transformation?
Well, you're kind of looking at it. Just kidding. I'm a big pro wrestling fan almost my whole life, and I think a lot of that I instill as far as the oral communication and some of the times the way I present, right? Sometimes I tend to be over the top, and think as I cut my interviews, I think I'm like Hulk Hogan sometimes. So that's one thing that you can't read in a LinkedIn profile that you probably will only know in this interview.
Well, that's so much fun, and I love that. I appreciate this question because it brings out something that, it brings out the humanness
Yeah,
of us, especially in this day and age where there's so much focus
yeah.
on non-human things. So
Yeah.
um I very much appreciate that. So what would you like our audience to remember about our conversation today?
I would love our audience to remember that, like if you're in this capital raising process, no matter where you're at, whether it's pre-seed or friends and family, or eventually you've raised already and with Series A, it all begins with understanding your why, understanding your vision, your mission, right, and then your why, right. And then once you understand that, then it's like your investor profile, understanding your avatar, right. So who are they? Where are they? How much they make? How do they consume their news? What conferences or events they're a part of? Once you understand all that, then you'll be able to connect one step closer to your investors. So I think if you start with that, I think you'll be in a great position. So if you don't want anything from that after this interview, just that one piece.
So, what I also take from you is being surrounded by a team of people, right? Of trusted advisors. Um, I think that's important. And what I
Yeah,
also learned from you is also your resilience of the, to the point about the story before. And maybe also that's why you embrace the pro wrestling, because
the pro
think
wrestling, yeah,
about it.
exactly. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose matches, right?
Sometimes you get thrown down on that mat, but
Matt,
it's not about how many times you get thrown down, right? It's about
how
how
many times
you
you get
get
up?
up.
Exactly, exactly.
So thank you so much for um, being on our show today. I really appreciated that. I'd like the audience to know where to find you, and best place to find Dr. Jairo Borja is via LinkedIn. And so he's under Dr. hyphen Jairo, Jairo hyphen Borja, Borja hyphen DBA. And then there's some numbers that you'll find him, I promise. To learn more about Portly AI and Squad Talk, please visit portly.ai. And in the squad spirit, keep growing and evolving and leading the way. Thanks again, Dr. Jairo Borja.
Thanks so much for having me. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome.